Hello and welcome to your video on section 2 in chapter 11, along with our video series where we are going to talk about sexual reproduction. So our learning objectives are going to be to explain that meiosis and sexual reproduction are highly evolved traits, identify variation among offspring as a potential evolutionary advantage for sexual reproduction, and describe the human life cycle type as a sexually reproducing multicellular organisms. So humans, like most animals, reproduce sexually rather than asexually. In asexual reproduction, every individual is capable of producing offspring. So a population could, in theory, grow twice as fast as compared to sexual populations. Because in sexual reproduction, males don't directly produce offspring themselves. So why is sexual reproduction so common if it seems less efficient? The key advantage that we talked about in the first section is genetic variation. So with sexual reproduction, every offspring is going to be a unique combination of both maternal and paternal genes, just like we saw at the end of meiosis with those 4 haploid cells. And this variation is important because it's going to increase our chance that some individuals in the population will be well adapted to survive and reproduce in our changing environment. So when we look at asexual reproduction, the only source of variation they really have are through mutations, which occur much more slowly. So without the shuffling of genes through meiosis and fertilization that we experience, a asexual population would be far less adaptable to environmental changes. So even though sexual reproduction is going to be slower, it'll pay off in the long run because we're able to produce diverse populations that are better equipped for survival. So let's start off this slide by looking at figure 11.9, which is showing the life cycle of sexually reproducing organisms, specifically us humans. We know by now that humans have a diploid dominant life cycle. This means that most of our cells in our body are going to be diploids, and they're going to contain 2 sets of chromosomes, one from each parent. We're using the colors red and blue to refer to this. And the only exception are going to be our gametes. So you can see these gametes pictured over here at the egg and over here at our sperm cell. And just to reiterate, these are haploids. We're only going to contain 23 chromosomes here, so 1 set of chromosomes. So here's how this cycle works. Through meiosis taking place in the testes and the ovaries, okay, so starting over here and here, we reduce the chromosome number by half and produce our haploid gametes, respectively. So sperm in males, egg in females. And during fertilization, where that sperm cell is going to move into the egg and we are going to come together and form a zygote, it then becomes a diploid, meaning we have 46 chromosomes, so it's restoring that full number of our chromosomes. This zygote is then going to grow and develop into a multicellular organism, all through mitosis because we are producing more diploid cells for growth, repair, and maintenance. So the cycle alternates between meiosis and fertilization, and our meiosis is creating genetic diversity and reduces the chromosome number that we saw over here, while fertilization is going to restore the diploidy and combines genetic material from 2 parents. So here we're going to focus on germ cells, which are the special diploid cells found in the gonads. By gonads, I mean the testes and the ovaries. And our germ cells, like I said, are diploid, meaning that they're going to carry two sets of chromosomes, just like most of our other body cells, so 46 chromosomes. But unlike our somatic cells or body cells, their job is to go through meiosis in order to produce haploid gametes. So again, here are our diploid cells, our germ cells, that are then going to create our haploid gametes. Remember, we said that when we go through meiosis, we'll end up with 4 cells. So you don't see the 4 here, we only see 2, but imagine there were 4. And in females from the ovary, we would only have 1 egg, and the 3 would be polar bodies. In the male, we are going to see that we would have 4 haploid cells as well. Again, not pictured here, but imagine there are 4, and all 4 of those would be sperm cells that all are different. So where does this process start? It'll start with these germ cells dividing by mitosis in order to increase their number. And then some of them are going to enter meiosis, which is what we see pictured over here. And through meiosis, the chromosome number will be cut in half, producing those haploid cells or haploid gametes with just 1 set of chromosomes. Okay, so 1 in here, 1 set in here, 1 set in here. This will ensure that when fertilization happens, the chromosome number will be restored to that diploid number in our zygote, so 46 chromosomes. One important detail to remember is that once our gametes are formed, they cannot divide again. Our eggs and our sperm are terminal cells whose only role is to fuse during fertilization. And I just want to add some clarifications because some of you may have heard the term germ layers. Germ cells are different from germ layers, like the ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm. Those are terms that we use during embryonic development, and they are completely different concepts.